Winter is coming.
Might just be the cold.
Winter is coming.
It's cold outside.
You don't know cold.
Winter is coming for him.
It's either me or this cold, and it doesn't appear to be going anywhere.
And winter is coming!
You look cold, boys.
Tis a bit nippy.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
That's cold.
Winter is coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cold.
It's cold and it's wet.
Winter is coming.
You're crying because you're cold?
You're a long way from home. Winter is coming.
I imagine you might be rather cold.
And winter is coming.
Oh, that's all right, I'm fine.
You're not. You're freezing.
And winter is here, but we will be talking about the strange disappearance of Russ Winter, because there is a part of Russ that evaporated, vanished, no longer exists, and we had to restructure his molecular body.
He's the new Russ Winter is AI.
The new Russ Winter is improved and better than ever.
You'll see clearly when I come on that I'm AI now.
And we'll break it all down for you. But before we bring Russ on, I just want to mention that, of course, I have a special right now for personal sessions and readings. And some of you have figured out, well, you've asked me, like, how does this work? Well, when you go to my website to purchase a reading, there's a part that says coupon. And what you want to do is, if you're getting any reading besides the everything reading, it's the 50 OFF. You put that in the coupon section, automatically deducts $50 from your reading purchase. If you want to get the everything reading, you put in 100 OFF. And it will deduct that from the everything reading. So you're saving $100 for the everything reading. So we're doing this because my book comes out on 6/22, and I'm just doing my best to stoke some momentum for that. And I'll have another special that'll be related to the book and the video course, but that will be something completely different. So this is my way of kind of getting into promotional mode. And I know for some of you, $50 is a tank of gas or a lunch at McDonald's these days. So I know most of you won't do McDonald's, but you understand what I'm saying, right? It's all there, robertphoenix.com and /services. And again, when you hit that coupon part, those are the codes you put in. Okay, so let us wait no longer. And let us bring in the man of the moment, Mr. Russ Winter. Hi, Russ.
Hey, my man. I'm sure our listeners know that you love clickbait.
Well, I've never really played with clickbait before. I've always had a certain disdain for clickbait. I come from a generation where we like to keep it real, but today I decided to get all clickbaity. And
all right, I use clickbait.
You do. How does clickbait work for you?
It's kind of the lead in that you picked for tonight's show, kind of like that, stuff like that.
Right.
April Fool's type stuff. And
well, it's not entirely untrue, because you did disappear. Like the you that used to exist on Twitter X is no longer there anymore, and I don't even know what happened. So maybe you can fill me and the rest of us in on that.
Well, I went back to visit my son, and then when I got back there, I noticed that all of a sudden I got like 4 notices in a row that somebody from Bosnia or somebody from Indonesia or a bunch of rando hackers were trying to get into my X account, and they shut me down, and then it said log back in and change password. So I went back in and looked in my little book that I carry all my passwords and stuff in, and entered it as I recorded it, and they wouldn't let me back in.
Interesting. So you literally had to create an entirely new identity over there.
Yeah, a whole new, lost my old account, but it didn't really matter because they were suppressing me so much on my tweets, and it was really getting frustrating because I've been on such a roll on things to say. I mean, I think that I've been very relevant and accurate.
Absolutely. 100%.
A lot of good things to say and just not any kind of reach. And so, but I use, as you see, I use X a lot for my research, and I like to follow people on and pull their stuff into the mix. So anyway, that's what happened. It's just a typical horseshit.
And so today I'm like, and I know that you were in chat the other day, and you were basically saying like, this is where I am, and it kind of just sort of flew past me, and I'm like, oh shit, I should have probably written that down. And I had no way of getting a hold of you since I didn't know your new Twitter handle.
Yeah, I couldn't find your find your email. We haven't communicated by email in years.
We have not communicated by email, but so you know where I got the email address from?
Where?
You'll never guess this.
No idea.
So when by the way, did you get the toothpaste?
By the way, your email went into my junk file, so I had to go back and.
That's unfortunate. I think sometimes that happens with some of my emails.
Yeah, I'm lucky I caught it. I was just kind of going, "Where is he?" And let me check the junk filter. But go ahead. Where did you get it?
Did you get the toothpaste? But did that
no,
it didn't arrive in time. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, the address that you gave me obviously was for your son. So what I did is I punched it into reverse lookup, thinking that maybe I might be able to get your son's phone number or something like that. But the email that showed up in relationship to the information based on your son's address was your email. That was weird. It was like, what is your email doing associated with your son's address and phone number? So it's like, well, this must be his email. So I sent the email, and then miraculously you checked your email, and there I was. Like, that is such a weird way, right, to connect.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get you to come through my new X account, but that's actually a process too, because you both have to follow each other.
Right.
And then you have to take a step of actually starting a conversation. There's a couple steps involved in that. It's not simple. So anyway, we made it.
I'm not aware as to whether or not you were a blue check person.
No. My philosophy is not to pay a dime. The way they've suppressed me over the years is no. I mean, if they'd given me some reach and let me reach some people and communicate, I wouldn't mind doing a blue check or even paying money. But I'm not paying them any money. They censor me and suppress me, and I think they may have fucked me over. I mean, why couldn't I get back onto my account?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the cynic in me completely agrees with you. So I'm at this point, right, where I want to build out my reach. I have to, I'm kind of getting restless. And there was a period when I was tweeting a lot, and I think what Twitter did in the past is that it responded to the algorithm of your frequency, right? So it was rewarding me for posting a lot and getting my tweets out to as many people as possible. And then, I like went into this heart crash, and I distinctly remember getting into a beef with a guy on Twitter, and I could feel my heart racing like a jackhammer inside of my chest. And I'm like, this is not good. I can't do this right now. So I stepped away from Twitter for about 5 or 6 months. just because it was literally a health risk. And I think during that
Wow.
time, during that time, my algorithm probably got, like a Moody's, it got downgraded or something, right? So now that I'm back and I'm tweeting, my reach doesn't seem to go as far. So then what are the options? The options are, well, you can pay for a blue check. And one of the things that you have to do for that blue check is you have to upload a copy of your physical ID.
Yeah.
Right. And do you know where all of that blue check stuff is processed? Take a wild guess, Russ.
Tel Aviv.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
And by the way, BB was on yesterday with a comment saying, "You folks better you people out there that are anti-Semites or whatever he characterizes them, you better start towing the line, or there's going to be consequences." So there's already open threats on this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is by and large, I don't want to call it a party message because they're not really a party, but I think the tribe has agreed that the mask is coming off. Right. They're going very public now about what they can and will do if somebody steps out of line. And I don't know if you saw that that video clip of John Podhoretz, you know that guy, the son of Norman Podhoretz, the head of the neocons. Have you seen that clip?
No.
It's a pretty disgusting clip. And in the clip, he champions the fact that they were able to use their money to defeat Thomas Massey in Kentucky. And not only did he champion it, he said, it is our right and duty to use our money to combat any kind of supposed anti-Semitism wherever and however we see fit to define it, right? Like this is like
it's getting tough for them. They're getting tough for them because according to the polls, they're now the most hated country in the world.
I don't think they give a shit. I think that they actually like it. I think it's kind of.
I don't know, man. It's not good optics to just be the most hated country.
They're not Christians in that way. Like Christians would take it personally, like to some degree. Like if you're really a Christian, you wouldn't care because all you would care about would be the love of God and the love of Jesus, and none of the world would matter. But I do think that Christians are a lot more self-conscious about being accepted. The Israelis have not. The Israeli/Jewish people have had, a long time of not being accepted. So this is old hat for them, right? It's like,
it's kind of at a new level, I think. I just think it really has. I think that the optics have been so bad, and they just continually. I was just kind of watching some of these Piers Morgan shows and some of the Israelis that come on there. God, they're just so bad. They're talking about the flotilla people. They had a guy that was on a flotilla and got kind of roughed up, and then they sent an Israeli spokesman. And what he had to say and his whole display, I'm thinking, is this really the optics you want?
Yes,
you're awfully arrogant, and you're awful lot of hubris and arrogance here, and lying. You're just kind of clearly lying about stuff. And I'd say bring it on. Just let them talk all they want. That's the way I look at it. Just let them reveal themselves.
I mean, they don't really have a choice in a lot of ways, right? Like they can't pretend that they're anything other than, who and what their ideology and their actions are. They can't. There's no wiggle room in there at all. There's none, right? Like
it's too late. Yeah, too late to revamp. Exactly.
Right. But here's the interesting part: is that they'll come out and say exactly what John Podhoretz said, which is we got no problem using our money to, shut people down. Right. But then you accuse them of that. And now you're an anti-Semite. Right. It's
they put up one tweet that said something to the effect that, okay, we can let you talk a little bit, but then we're going to basically do a Massey on you. Some tweet to that effect that we did we took down massive.
Oh, it's all over. It's all over social media.
But then they thought better of it, and they took the tweet down. But it was too late. There's 31 million eyeballs on it.
Right, right. I think that was related to the APAC money that was involved. So, yeah, things are. Well, where do you want to start? We got an intro here. Like, we're dealing with a group of people who are not only unrepentant, but they're willing to just like stick it in your face.
Well, we could talk about the little item that you mentioned coming on about Greece and Albania. I think that's an interesting story.
Yeah, so I started to pick up on this past week, and what's interesting about the story is that in many ways it's been years in the making. At least the Albanian side of this thing. It just came out that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump are looking at this island in Albania that used to be a former kind of Russian fortress during the Cold War, and it's across from this it's like a eco sanctuary lagoon, and really important to the Albanian people. They've got all these tortoises there, and rare bird population, and they basically have said hands off in this area for a very long time. And what happened this week is a new level of escalation in that they began to fence this thing off, right? And this is what triggered the whole thing, right? They fenced off the area, and they actually started to do groundwork on this island. And this associated area along with it, I don't know, 145 hectares or something like that. And people saw what was happening. It was like, before the fence went up, they could go there, they could hang out, they could be a part of the experience, it was protected, it was like a preserve. And all of a sudden, one day they can't go there. Right.
Worse than that, a bunch of money bag types, globalist money type bags are including, and Trump doesn't have any kind of reputation in the world at all. He's another guy that's hated. So Jared and Ivanka are going to basically do a land grab. That didn't go over very well.
They had.
I don't even know. There's just no introspection. They don't really appreciate the level of animus towards them.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? That so there's this book that I heard about. It's called Between the Wolf and the Dog, and it's this guy who he's English, and it sounds like a really fascinating book. But in this book, what he did is he sort of tracked nobility over time. Right. And when somebody is in the position of nobility and privilege, we'll use the word privilege, their neurons in their brain change, and they're incapable of empathy. Right. They're completely incapable of empathy. So that kind of self-reflection that you're talking about with like Ivanka or Jared or even.
Yeah, they can't read the room. They can't read the room because they've had so many people sucking up to them their whole lives, telling them how great they are. So they can't really read the room of the common normal people like Albanians, how they might respond. Well, before you did this project, did you ever do any kind of thinking about how the country itself might how it might go over? I can kind of see why they're going in there, because it's kind of an undeveloped area of the world. I took the trip down to Montenegro, which is nearby. And country's got a lot of potential. It used to be Croatia, but Croatia has become a little bit more crowded with tourism. Still a great country. Yeah. But then further on down, you have Albania, which is, I get reports from people that have been to Albania, says it's fantastic and cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not what Ivanka and Jared are doing. They're going to do a elite enclave literally in Epstein Island.
So the reason why they cannot fathom how other people think or feel is that the premise of this book is that their brains have changed. Like their brains have been remapped. And the remapping is due to the fact that they do not have to suffer any consequences of their actions because of their social and economic privilege and insulation. Like they're incapable. It's not that they just can't read the rules. They're incapable of it.
No consequence types people. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's what this war is all about. No consequences. Unbelievable. You're just like, really? You guys didn't think that one through either? Now, we've been talking about this for 3 months, and I'm on the record as saying this is what was going to happen. Everybody said, oh, come on, Russ, the U.S. is going to kick their ass. But the Iranians, I kind of wanted to get in this a little bit. I think the Iranians have really reinvented warfare. They've gone to Granite Mountains, and there's a wonderful YouTube channel that I discovered called Warpath, Warpath History.
Yeah.
AI, and of course, I love all the AI renditions. And this guy's really a good scholar of warfare throughout the ages, and particularly key battles or campaigns that may not be that well known that changed history. And one of them that I thought was fascinating was this battle called Molodai. The Battle of Molodai, 1571 in Russia. Now, what was happening is the Crimean Tartars would come up from the south almost every year and just enslave people. They'd go all the way up into Lithuania, but they would press on towards Moscow and just clean out the countryside, clean out the crops, the animals, and just haul them back to Crimea. Just constant looting, and it was really weakening Russia. And so finally, Ivan the Terrible had this general, Volachich, or I forget the name, terrible with the names. He said, I'll give you all the resources you need. We've got to stop this. And so what he did is he created these battle wagons, these moving mobile fortifications made of wood, really solid wood. And he would mount them up with small cannons and muskets, and then they would have little holes in the walls, and they would set them up and position them on the battlefield in perfect position. And the Mongols, essentially, they were still riding horseback. The great horsemen, they would encircle you, hard hitting, great archers. They had some rifles, but they didn't really use the rifles effectively. They were mostly just archers. They showed up with 120,000 soldiers against 25,000 Russians, and the Russians totally kicked their asses, routed them, ended up routing them and chasing them all the way back to Crimea, and that was the end of the Mongol incursions into Russia. And I think that's what the Iranians have done to the Israelis and the Americans. The Americans need to have $1.5 trillion budgets, military budgets, premised on greed and corruption and just the military-industrial surveillance complex and lining people's pockets. Right. The Iranians are not that way. They've got a budget. Let's get the weapons that'll work, make them as cheaply and effectively as possible, and they just basically pull a battle of Molodai on the United States, and that's why they're winning this war. And people have really been slow figuring that out, and they're still slow. But just yesterday, they just so happened to hit Kuwait again. I asked myself, they apparently hit 6 to 8 aircraft on the ground. It was so bad that Trump put out a tweet this morning lambasting the Kuwaiti of being incompetence. Oh, you guys don't know how to use our defense stuff. You guys are idiots. Blaming Kuwait for the advantage that Iran has. So Trump doesn't recognize it because he's completely oblivious. So it's completely changed the battlefield. And that Kuwait operation, I thought, was really illustrative. And it's what's coming. If they want to go back to war, I think it's going to really get bad because they're going to focus even more on these American bases that can't be protected. drive them out, probably hit Israel real hard. They've already got, apparently they've got Qatar and Saudi Arabia sidelined, don't get involved. So they've moved the chessboard around brilliantly. Fantastic. I mean, just completely incredible military and strategic craftsmanship by the Iranians.
Well, I wanted to get your take on the war and the markets, because it feels like there is a tremendous amount of rigging going on.
Definitely.
With the war and the market, and people don't quite understand the ebb and flow of information, the price of crude, and positions in the market that people are taking ahead of it, certain announcements. And I know that you, being a kind of a former finance guy, could probably break this down for us in a way that
it's unprecedented grifting and manipulation, unprecedented, unlike anything ever before. They've got this Axios that throws out every rumors, and of course algos drive the market, not real thinking people. And the way the algos are programmed, they're not looking at the kind of issues that I just raised. That the Iranians have invented warfare relative to the United States. There's a lot that's piled up in the last month that I could go over, but just to answer your question, they're going to create a black swan, because it's obvious what's going to happen. They're going to bottom on the oil, the tanks, right. Literally. There's not going to be anything there, and then they're going to, probably starting in California or someplace, all of a sudden the arbitrage product coming in from Asia is just going to stop, because that was funded by Japanese strategic petroleum releases. And then the Asian refiners send it to California. That's going to stop. So and then once that happens, that's where the first initial spike will occur. But it could happen anywhere in the world, because they've
been profiting off of this war.
Yes.
From day one.
Yeah, sickening.
And so all they have to do is place their position to go short or long, or short or long.
And wait for the memo. Yeah, wait for the memo. Wait for the tweet. Exactly. It's sickening. And then the algos kick in.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it again today, taking the market back down. And then you saw the news. There's nothing. It's just this wash, rinse, repeat of the same nonsense.
It really feels like we're in this Orwellian cycle. Like if you go back and watch the first version of 1984, I remember as a kid seeing it on, like, ooh, 1984. I really want to watch this, right? And then I was pretty young. I might have been around, 11 or 12 or something. And what really struck me was that over the course of the movie, the enemy was changing. Where if you're paying attention,
flip-flop, Oceania and
and I'm like, what the fuck is this, right? Like, how can people have any, even at that age, I'm like, how can people have any hold on reality when the goalposts and the targets and the sides keep changing? And it feels like we're in a version of that today, where, one guy opens his mouth and says, oh, we're done, right? The war is over, and, we've negotiated everything we need. And then, 24 hours later, there's something that contradicts that. I mean, it feels like we're in that kind of Orwellian cycle of war.
They could do on the energy thing. They can pull the Orwellian thing off for a while, because there is a reserve of oil that they've drawn on.
Right.
But that's like the mother's milk. That's sort of the last line of defense before you go into big trouble.
Right.
So they've drawn that down with the expectation that somehow this war is going to end after 60 days or 45 days or whatever bullshit they've thrown out. Now it's going on 90 days, and it's not coming to an end. The oil's not moving, and they've gone through the reserves. So you're within a week or two, maybe 3 weeks of hitting just up like popcorn, going off all over the place, the spikes in product prices.
Right.
Now, the thing I don't think people know, I found this story fascinating. You got 1,500 tankers and ships in the Gulf. They've been there sometimes, some up to 4 months. They're crawling with barnacles. The hulls, the propellers, they're not taking care of the biofouling. It's warm water, and the barnacles just go crazy. And even if they were to open up the strait tomorrow, you'd need four commercial divers on each ship. Would be probably a 4 or 5 day project.
Just scraping the barnacles off the bottom.
Just to scrape the barnacles off these ships. You can't sail them. And if this goes on much longer, you're going to lose these ships, particularly some of the older ships. And you're probably going to have to take a lot of them into dry dock. They're so bad.
Right.
Where are you going to do that?
Yeah.
In that neck of the woods. Pull them out of the water. And then plus you got to pull the oil out of the holds, store it temporarily, retrofit the ships and get the barnacles off. Nobody's accounting for that. Nobody. I haven't seen this story anywhere in the Western media.
Yeah,
it's kind of going around. It's kind of going around in energy intelligence circles.
Yeah, yeah. And what about these Navy ships that have been like out for 8, 9, 10 months? And I've heard that the morale on some of these ships is just really bad. That these guys, and what they do, which is really weird too, is like they have, from what I can understand, and I can see, the food on these ships really sucks, right? Like the nutrition these guys are getting sucks, from what I can see. I could be wrong. And then all of a sudden they'll bust out like steak and lobster, and steak and lobster is a sign that they're going to war, right? Like I've heard a number of stories that they've had steak and lobster, but then do they really go to war? And that's got to fuck with their heads.
Well, where is the Navy? I mean, they're afraid of getting in range of Iran. And so Iran's reinvented the warfare there. They're just there for show out there in the Indian Ocean somewhere where they think they're out of range. Yeah. And so far, there is a ceasefire, so Iran really isn't trying to sink ships yet. But I'm thinking Battle of Molodai, man. I'm thinking of the way the Russians handled the Mongols, that they've got more tricks up their sleeves. And the whole nature of warfare has changed, that a country that's smart, sharp, uses the resources well, isn't totally corrupt like the United States, where they have to have expensive weapons just to pad the pockets of defense contractors,
right,
has the upper hand in this world. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So,
because economically, Iran is not that powerful.
What is again? We get conflicting reports about what's actually going on in Iran itself. From your estimation, and you're kind of poking around the internet, and I know that you always look for like native material.
Well, I have relatives in Iran.
So what's the story like there? What's going on there?
It's really hard to get them to communicate. We had one conversation, and my son and his wife's family, and it's we're just saying, you guys are the point of the spear. Iran is protecting defending the world against Zionist satanic aggression. You're making statements like that, and it kind of goes over like a lead balloon, even for people living in Iran. It's like we're the radical ones, and I think you just see that everywhere.
Well, it's funny because I used to follow this guy. You probably know him, Brendan O'Connell. Do you know Brendan O'Connell?
Yeah, pretty hardcore.
Yeah. So people who don't know who Brendan O'Connell is, let me give you just a little brief primer. He first got on my radar when he's Australian, and he was living in Australia, and he had the "they live" moment, right? He put the sunglasses on, and he started going after these kiosks in shopping centers in Australia. And these kiosks were all kind of run by Israelis, right? And he saw them as being like Mossad fronts, that they were just like little tiny shops that were set up so that they could have operatives running around Australia. So he started to confront these people in Australia, and he got more and more confrontational, And eventually he wound up, I think, serving a little time in prison in Australia. And then I think he went to like, what was it, Thailand or something?
Well, he went to Iran for a while.
But eventually he goes to Iran because he thinks that Iran can be an ally in his, fight against global Jewry, right? And when he got there, what did he find? He found people that were at best indifferent to what he was talking about, right? And that was a shock to him. And
yeah, I know. And he kind of gave up because but I think the problem with him is he thought he could kind of boss people around and take over. I remember the guy pretty well. He was an interesting character. I don't know.
He's still around. But I think that was because I was following him during that time, and he really thought that once he could get inside Iran, he would have allies. And that he could have a platform and he could build, I don't know, maybe he had T.E. Lawrence flashbacks or something, right? And he could build a movement. And he basically walked away with these were the two thoughts that were in his brain when he left. One is that they didn't care enough. And two, and this is the part that I've broached before, we don't have to go down this alley again, that they may actually be in cahoots with Israel. Like he began to entertain that thought, right?
Yeah,
so
I think that the Iranian diaspora in particular has been very heavily propagandized, and the diaspora gets back with their relatives in Iran. So the country, up to a certain point, actually thought that the United States could liberate Iran from the bad guys they're suffering, and I think that's changed.
So when you say diaspora, these are Iranians who no longer live in
that I have a lot of contact with,
right?
And like I say, my son and I are the big radicals of this whole extended family of people, including a bunch of Iranian diasporas. They're pretty pro-American. They understand. They get the point. They kind of look at you funny, but they really want to hear what you're here to say, because I don't think they hear it coming from me and my son.
Well,
I think they think that we're credible people, but they don't really get this message very often because they're propagandized.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting dynamic when people leave their home and they relocate to a new place. And, the first wave of Persians started to show up, 1979? There were some people that were leaving even earlier than that. Like I remember in high school, there was a guy who showed up at our high school who was Persian, and it was 1977. So maybe they saw the writing on the wall. I don't know. Right. But that's like almost 50 years ago. So we're talking now we're at least two generations deep in the diaspora. So they're very disconnected in terms of not just geography, but also time and historicity. They're very removed from.
Yeah, I think they feel they have to toe the line. They can't rock the boat. They can't be a radical like me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It just doesn't work. It's just not going to work. It's not safe. I don't even know. I don't even know if it's safe for me anymore or any of us.
Well, I would assume that as a group of people that they might have experienced some degree of trauma as well, right? Having to just uproot and leave and not be a part of this place is, where your family has literally been for thousands of fucking years, right? Like that's a deep trauma that even, having the most successful restaurant in LA, might be a nice Band-Aid, but you still have that going on, right, in your background. Being uprooted like that is not an easy thing for a culture. Although I think the Armenians have done quite well for themselves in that regard, though, right? Like LA is a lot better than old Armenia used to be.
I mean, I guess I just look at Iran as great warriors and have really know how to play that game, and really have some great advantages and skill sets relative to the Americans. And it's just, I mean, somebody needs to, after this is all over with and the United States basically collapses, somebody needs to war game this whole thing and go back to the drawing board and really look at what's happening here and how the United States has spent all. I mean, that's what's important to me. How have you spent your money, U.S.? So my attention is on U.S. I'm not really concerned. I'm not really dealing with the diaspora, whatever they want to think. But U.S. needs to completely up their game. Figure out how to fight wars without having to just loot the country and borrow hundreds of billions of dollars, bankrupt the country. But it's kind of too late. But somebody war games it and figures this out. And you go and new people come in instead of a bunch of Zionists running the
yeah. So to me, this conflict, whatever you want to call it, feels like Endgame. That's what it feels like. And it was almost, sort of mapped out and was doomed to fail from the start. And that's part of what it is that we're going through.
Right. I mean, I get that. I've heard you say that theory. I get it. I really do, because it just looks so inept and corrupt. And the people calling the shows are so stupid, idiotic, and never ending. They can't self-correct. They can't. It does look like it's an end game. It's been planned. It's been planned out to collapse the country. I get that theory 100%.
What do you think of this? It's not just a rumor; it's an actual fact that every year they come up with the new defense budget under the NDAA, right? And part of this new defense budget is a formal series of agreements with Israel to bring.
No, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's crazy. In other words, you bring in
together.
Yeah, you just bring in more and more inept, idiotic people to run the show. That's not going to work.
Well,
it's just going to give Israel control. It gives Israel control. That's all it does.
It's no longer just our interests, right? We are now, cohabitating with another country and their interests in terms of their geopolitical. It's
incredible. Yeah, it really is incredible that they figure that's going to be a solution to winning wars in the future and conflict. And they,
do you think that see, and this is interesting, like this is why Thomas Massey mattered, because Thomas Massey would be in Congress and he'd be redlining that, like as part of the NDAA, and he'd be bringing that up. And he'd be, politicizing it and bringing it to people's attention and being the guy that's kind of the tip of the spear. Well, he's not going to be there. Right. So now they've got Massey out of the way. They can start to do shit like this because, Massey was really good at finding those little line items, and then getting them pulled out of these pork barrels.
Right. Well, let me offer you another theory that I've kind of been developing lately, and I've been playing with it for a while, but now I'm a little bit more convinced. Is that I think the whole, this whole marriage of these militaries and the control by Israel of the United States is basically part of a plan by the kind of the Ben Gvir wing of the Israeli power structure. And that guy, I'll tell you what, that guy's much more influential and powerful than people realize. He's been kind of portrayed as just a wingnut only, but he's running the show. And they're end timers. Back to your end game, end timer type guy, fourth turning, whatever you want to call it. To bring on the Messiah, the end times. I think they're committed to that, and it's part of their plan to bring Amalek down, the West down, Rome. I mean, I was just listening to a really interesting show about the history of the Jews during the Roman period and how brutal that was, and how the Romans constantly had to put them down, constantly.
Right.
And so there's bad blood there. So in other words, I'm saying Ben Gvir, it's getting so bad that Ben Gvir is actually running, Ben Gvir and his associates are running the State Department, the Department of Defense, the President of the United States. That's why they're so inept, because it is deliberate sabotage.
So,
How about that theory? Now, how Iran ties into that, I don't really.
I think Iran is just another, like, it's another chaos point, right? Like, what's really interesting is that we started off the show and we started to talk a little bit about Albania, right? And there's all this focus on Iran and this war. When, I found this great interview with this guy who is Greek, and, he was at one of these conferences that was just held in Athens. And basically the conference was about Israeli and Greek sort of cohesion and partnership. And a lot of it has to do with this idea that Greece needs somebody to protect them from Turkey, right? Because they've got this long, so they think that the Israelis can do that, right?
So they're doing the salami strategy on them. Okay.
Yeah. So then what the Israelis are doing is they're setting up, they're doing the same thing with the NDAA, is that they're setting up these contracts between the Greek government and the Israeli government through these tech companies that are a byproduct of the Mossad and Unit 8200, right? And so the Greek government is doing these contracts, and everything in Israel at this level is state-sponsored and state-owned, right? They've got a stake in these companies because they're the ones that basically created the masterminds of Unit 8200. So they're creating this political fusion between Greece and Israel. They're doing the same thing in Cyprus, by the way, right? So that whole area is now becoming part of what we call Greater Israel.
Interesting.
Right? And now we got the Kushners moving in to Albania, and their elite, quote unquote, resort. Well, who really knows what's completely behind that? But Albania is the next stop up the coast, right? So now we're focusing on Iran and the war. In the meantime, Israel is building out, right? They're building out their protectorate through the Mediterranean, and they're building out these political relationships, which, by the way, once these contracts become signed and legal, they're very hard to untangle, right? They're very difficult to untangle. So they're doing the same thing here with the NDAA, and it's a very similar strategy. And what's really interesting,
it's a takeover. Yeah, it's a takeover, right?
It's a total takeover. And we're focusing on Iran, but in the meantime, this other shit is happening, right?
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Like,
they're different angles and different angles of attack. Absolutely. God knows how many islands. I mean, there's an incredible number of small islands throughout that whole region: the Aegean, Greece, up and down the Adriatic coast. Some of them are just kind of like rocks. The geology there is amazing when you drive up and down the Adriatic coast. It's really rugged.
Yeah. So,
but even off the coast of Turkey, those are Greek islands, right off the coast of Turkey.
Right. So they've got a strategy, and this is when people will think about Greater Israel, like, oh, it's going to be Lebanon, oh, it's going to be Iraq, oh, it's going to be Syria, right? Oh, well, take a look up the coast, and you can see something very different unfolding. I was going to ask you about something. What was it?
No, there's also energy, East Mediterranean energy fields, pipeline projects, possible canals.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really great point. We're like setting up strategic pipeline through Syria, which I've actually seen maps of. You got a point there.
Well, actually through Gaza.
That's another one, right? That's another one. But
and Jared's involved there too.
Yeah.
By the way,
yeah, it must be nice. It must be nice to have just fuck you money and just buy government officials off, because that's what happened, right? Like they were negotiating with this guy who's the PM of Albania for about 3 years, and basically they got him to redesignate those lands as not being protected, so they were then purchasable. And nobody in Albania knew about this. Now, to their credit, the funds for that have been frozen, right? So the money that's been transferred for the sale of this territory has been frozen. Nobody can get to the funds, which is, at least a step in the right direction.
Well, what about Patagonia? What the hell is that all about?
I was going to bring that up. You got 400,000 Israeli immigrants getting ready to settle in Patagonia, right? So
yeah, that's enough to completely take over that country.
Yeah,
completely,
absolutely.
They'll get in there and get themselves installed in the key positions. They'll own the president. They already own the president. Melee. He's a total stooge.
Yep, and now you've got Peter Thiel moving to Argentina.
Thiel.
Right?
Peter Thiel.
I wonder why that's happening.
Oh, you're just going to go down there and just hang out, Peter, because you like Latina music and samba and.
So I heard this crazy rumor about Peter Thiel that apparently is true, that wherever he goes, there is a car waiting for him, and it's already on and idling. Right?
Really?
Yes. Wherever he goes, there's a car just waiting for him, idling. Like there's no, like, these people have a very different relationship with travel and geography than the rest of us do. They like teleport. That's what it's like. They just show up anywhere. And, I think Teal's got like 4 passports. One of them is for New Zealand. So he's got
he probably wouldn't be that interested in the Albania properties. He probably just Buenos Aires is fine with him. Yeah. He might. You watch. He'll pop something down there. He'll have something tied in to something in Argentina. Big business.
Well, I think this is a good transition to also begin to talk about Trump, because it feels to me like one of the reasons why Peter Thiel is moving is that he did not get the majority of the contracts that he was looking for with Palantir. And Trump decided, I think, to go with OpenAI and Larry Ellison and some of these like Israeli subcontracted companies that come out of that Unit 8200 world. And the whole idea for Palantir was to become the de facto operating system for every agency across the federal government. And that didn't happen. And I think it was maybe 3 months ago, people were wondering, well, why is Peter Thiel selling Palantir stock? Which he did. He sold a fair amount of his stock. And it's because I think he realized that even though he has J.D. Vance as vice president, and that's his guy, it did not buy him the kind of contractual access that he wanted. So he sees that that's a dead end. And now the Argentina option has opened up to him. So this is, I think, a good opportunity to maybe shift and talk about Trump. And you just did a recent article that I want to bring up about his health. And I don't think he's long for this world. but why don't we take a look at your article? You want to do
Yeah,
that?
it's called Strong Evidence Mounts that I call him Neocaligula, of course. Trump as frontotemporal dementia.
Yeah.
So you want to? I'll just go through this.
Let me bring it up here.
So there's the meme. It showed the scene, where he fell asleep. He slumped over and fell asleep. We can look at that scene when you bring it up. I use your term, high strangeness exhibition was slumping over with closed eyes in the Oval Office. So there's a clip prelude to the slump. And he's just, I'm telling you what it is. It's called sundowning.
Hold on one second. Let me get rid of this. Hold on.
Sundowning is, it's, the guy's 80 years old. So, that's what we have to kind of remember, that 80-year-old people shouldn't really be in this position, especially him. He's not that healthy.
Oh, he's not healthy at all.
No, nobody really is at that age. It's just, you can't be president of the United. They should ban anybody over 72. Come on.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I couldn't do it. I'm 75. I couldn't do it. I could not handle it.
So let's do this. We'll put that on there.
So I'm not laughing and mocking Trump, but the problem is that there's a lot at stake here.
Yeah.
That people have to kind of come to grips with. It's just like all the other things we've been talking about, the military contracts, everything about the country. So if you see the clip, you want to play it?
Americans are upset about high electricity prices. Blame closing existing reliable, secure plants and replacing them with subsidized, unreliable plants. A guaranteed way to drive electricity prices up. But this administration is committed to reversing all of that. That money we've talked about from the Defense Production Act, thankfully, because of the One Big Beautiful Bill and these fantastic congressmen sitting around me and governors, without that legislation,
come on, Donald. Can you be any more grumpy? Can you be any more sleepy and grumpy than this?
Wow.
Come on. You're in public.
Wow.
At least put on sort of a happy face. But he can't. It's impossible because he's basically his vagus nerve is all screwed up because he's got constant cortisol being released into his system because he stays up all night tweeting. He's always bombastic. Who knows what he does in private? He can't be. He's just not a nice person if he ever was, and it's just coming to the forefront. So he can't. It's physically impossible for him to put on a happy face. So that's a manifestation of it. Now go to the next clip where he just dozes off.
Yeah.
Now I don't think he's actually dozing. I think he's sundowning.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's it.
Of a job, an economy, a community, a family. And for too long.
Wow.
Now, what that is, a little research on it. There's some more photos of him below, collage of photos of him with his typical pose. He's fatigued. He's fatigued. It looks like he's being grumpy, but in reality, he's probably got type 2 diabetes, uncontrolled. He's not, because he's a dark triad, he's probably ignoring protocol for his type 2 diabetes. And that's going to give you big insulin resistant reactions, make you tired, make you sleepy. That's what type 2 diabetes does too. Well, layered onto that, he's got this frontal temporal dementia developing, and he's just not, he's probably had mini strokes. He's probably had AFib attacks, episodes, which is really dangerous.
Yeah.
The arrhythmia, the AFib stuff.
Yeah.
And we both had arrhythmia, and you got to really kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's just a perfect storm and terrible timing given the impending black swan. So sundowning is confusion, anxiety, agitation in people with dementia, cognitive impairment, occurs late afternoon into night. People display behavioral and psychological changes, agitation, emotional distress, cognitive disorientation, paranoia, delusions, and hallucinations. It's just a dead ringer of what's going on. This leaning that he's doing while he's sitting, he does that a lot. It's primarily due to what's called PISA, Leaning Tower of Pisa syndrome, physical weakness or medication side effects. Because the brain's control over muscle coordination and balance is damaged, the body struggles to maintain an upright center of gravity. So he's either slumped over, hunched over at the waist when he's standing. That came on a couple of years ago, and he almost kind of avoids being filmed standing anymore. He's always sitting.
Right.
He's got a bunch of neurological problems developing. There's the meme. I know some of my bootlegging cabinet members like Rubio will tell the world that I don't sleep publicly. Rubio says he doesn't sleep at all. Nonsense, Rubio. Come on. You're sitting there for Congress and telling that Trump doesn't need any sleep at all? That's bullshit. What kind of a lie is that even all about? What kind of dishonesty is in that?
So what's interesting here, right, is that these are all different photos because he's wearing different ties. Like, it's not just one kind of extended look at him in a particular situation. These are different situations, different rooms, right? This one is a really bad look down here. Really, really, really bad look. Did you follow his China trip? Do you have any posts on his China trip?
Yeah, he tried to play it like it was a wonderful, successful event when really it was a nothing burger.
It was a humiliation ritual.
Yeah.
It was like, first of all, when he got there, he was greeted by kind of a 10-cent marching band and some kids, right? Xi and no real high official was there at the airport to greet him. Right, you had maybe some functionaries who.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, they completely stonewalled him.
And then there's the chair moment where he's sitting on a chair that's lower than Xi's, and it's like some people have said, well, they switched chairs. Look, all you can go by is the video, and the video shows him sitting down in the chair that is lower than Xi's. And they did something to him that really blew my mind. They made him drink alcohol. And there's this toast, right? He has to perform this toast. And Trump has been a lifelong abstainer of alcohol. Now, he may have indulged in other things, but alcohol is not one of them because he saw what happened to his brother. Who knows? He might have had some hand in that as well.
Well, that might be good. That may be one health habit he has that's good, but he's
that's
got a lot
good,
of
right? That may have helped him with his longevity to some degree. But after he drinks this, it looks like it's like either champagne or some kind of rice wine. It's clear, and you can tell that he hasn't really tasted alcohol because of the look on his face afterwards. And it was like almost disgust in some ways. And he couldn't really, camouflage it very well. And the Chinese knew that. They knew it. They were like,
they're just screwing with him, huh?
Yeah, we're going to make you fucking drink in front of everybody. And we
got this great Chinese alcohol that you're just gonna love. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the photos of him that were there, of him being there, like he doesn't have the luxury of like filters and stuff, which are used on him quite a bit. And sort of the AI doctoring that can go on either in real time or post. And some of the photos of him in China look really bad, really, really bad. And when he came back from China, the amount of swelling that he had was alarming.
Yeah, he may have had a mini stroke in there at some point, or an AFib attack. I'm convinced of that. Okay, here's a story we could look at. The White House looks like a meth family moved in June 1st. Let's take a look at that one.
Okay.
And what is this guy doing to the goddamn White House?
Yeah, this is really, really bizarre. Really, really bizarre.
I mean, this is a manifestation of his mental illness, his dementia, his dark triad personality coming out the worst aspects of it. I mean, this is really, with a black swan collapse situation developing, it's unbelievable that this guy hasn't been removed.
Right there.
People are going along with this stuff.
So those are all trailers for what?
Well, this is a meme. This is a joke meme, but the point is still the same if you flip down a page.
So the lawn is gone, and they're putting in a UFC octagon.
Right. They're putting in a whole bunch of weird ass shit. A UFC ring.
Right. And I could be wrong, but I've heard that's going to be permanent.
That's what he's saying. He says it's going to be like the Eiffel Tower. We're just going to leave it in. Now, damn well, once he's out of office or removed, whoever takes over, if it's the Democrats, they're going to haul everything that Trump's going to be taken to the dumpster, taken to the landfill. So all his little weird ass projects that he's doing, and he's destroyed the White House in the process, created a major expense for cleaning it back up and restoring it. Here I have a meme. Idiocracy even predicted what the future White House would look like. He's just gutted.
I find this to be utterly bizarre.
Yep. He bought stock in UFC's parent company as he promoted the White House fight. But then he can't get anybody to come in and entertain.
No. This is all for the 250th anniversary of the country. And half the people, I mean, he'll probably wind up with Kid Rock, right? Like Kid Rock will be, he'll always say yes to Trump. But I looked at that list of people. I did a segment of one of my shows on it. And most of those people have not been relevant for like 25 or 30 years. Wasn't
it you that put up? Was it you that put somebody put up a really good tweet? Yeah, I think it was you. Talking about how to go back to the basics and create some new music, a new symphony for the.
Yeah, that was me.
That was great. That was one of the best tweets you've ever done.
Thanks. So
that's perfect.
Here's the problem, right? The problem is that most composers are kind of left leaning and wouldn't want to do something for Trump, but even somebody like John,
you're doing it for the country. You're
doing it for the country. You're not doing it for Trump,
right?
But somebody like John Adams, I don't know how old John Adams is now. He's probably somewhere in his 80s, but he's one of America's like minimalist composers. There's a school of music called minimalism, and he did a piece opera called Nixon in China, right? And it's like and Nixon wasn't always thought of as being a great guy or to the liberals a great president. But even somebody like John Adams, who's from California, mostly San Francisco, documented a historic moment in time with Nixon going to China and created an orchestral piece around it. And clearly there are people that could do something like that. Like even Philip Glass, who is probably in his late 70s and still has his chops, I think would be really interesting to create a kind of this, hour and a half to 2 hour orchestral. And the thing is, right, like, I used there are two American composers that were really good at this. One was Aaron Copland, and the other was a guy by the name of Charles Ives. And Charles Ives was unique in the sense that he would try to approximate the sounds of the emerging modern world through instrumentation. So if it was cars or traffic or, even some kind of recreation of industry, like he would use the symphony to incorporate that. But that would be part of a much broader piece. It would just be a piece of like the entire, orchestration. And even if you did like a 2.5 hour or 90-minute symphony for a New America, it doesn't always have to be beautiful, right? There could be parts of it that could be dissonant and distorted. And there's a lot of potential there. Like there's so much potential. And the other part, whether people like this or not, is that we are now a country that's populated by a number of indigenous cultures. That cannot be denied, right? You cannot deny the fact that there are large swaths of Haitians that are living here now, and they're not going back, right? They have shown no interest in sending the Haitians back. You have a large swath of Somalis. You have people that are from India, right? Of course, you have the south of the border crowd. All of those cultures have musical influences. Whether we like them or not, they have musical influences. And if somebody was really savvy and good at what they were doing, they can incorporate bits and pieces, because they're,
Oh yeah, I mean that's great. There's creative people. You don't have to just go back and you don't have to get the same tired artist.
Right? And in a lot of ways, it could fucking bring the country together.
Sure. That was a really great tweet. It's a great concept, but it's not going to happen because Trump doesn't get it.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't get it.
He's saying he's just going to. He says, "Well, they're here to see me," because
I'm just going to speak.
Right.
Waffle House. Oh my God, that's some
good memes out there.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that is like a post-China Trump right there.
Let's take a look at a couple of these around the web. Okay, what really happened during the Neo Caligula BB call? That's a good one. June 3rd around the web.
All right, let me find the around the webs. Hold on.
Now we know the official story where he said, "BB, you're fucking crazy." That's the official story.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show everybody what really happened.
All right.
And it's what really happened during the call. You can play those clips. There's two of them. One of them, the second one is BB's end of the line.
Let's see. Where are we? Videos, news, international.
Around the web.
Hold on, let me get back home. Here we go. All right, I'm there. News around the web. All right, let's put it up here.
See if anybody else thinks this is funny.
Okay, we got?
June 3rd, the BB. What really happened during the BB Netanyahu call? Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
What the fuck are you doing? You're fucking crazy, Daddy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. You're so bad. Oh, stop it. Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this. Not me, though. What am I wearing? The usual. Until I have to shower. I'll FaceTime you then.
Okay, now here's BB on his phone.
What the fuck? When did you grow a pair of balls? Remember who you talking to? Oh, okay. I know what you were doing. You don't want people to know you were my bitch. Okay, I will play along. Hey, sexy bitch, tell me what you're wearing. I have to go now. Send me a kiss.
The call really wasn't so angry after all, you know.
So I have a bit of a different take on that. And here's my take, and it's something that you may be able to relate to. I think Trump had a grouchy, crotchety old man moment with BB because of his health. That's my take.
Well, I'm surprised it hasn't happened a long time ago. My God.
Yeah. Like he's just like, I'm tired. Fuck you. I'm tired. Right. I'm just tired of all of this bullshit. That's, the other one is much funnier, I have to say. And that, they're not the only person that has said, well, he just said that for effect, just to show people that he might have a pair. But I just think he just might be dog ass tired. And
that's a fair theory. I mean, I'm not discounting it.
What else you got for around the webs?
Got the barnacles. Israel brings in evangelical wingnuts for struggle session before the Knesset. That's a good one. June 1st.
So Israel brought Christians from around the world into the Knesset to cry and beg God to forgive their nations for not supporting Israel enough. So this is all about debasement, huh? All right.
Father God, as a German and European, I just ask forgiveness for the anti-Semitism all around that is growing, and we repent on behalf.
Where is she from?
Germany.
Of course.
Of it, and we bless Israel. And Father, I ask that you raise up righteous politicians, righteous influencers, righteous journalists, that they would speak the truth. And Father, I ask for a Jerusalem prayer breakfast in Germany, in your name. Amen.
Dear Father in heaven, I am crying out to you on behalf of Germany and on behalf of Europe. And I'm crying to you, have mercy upon Germany, have mercy upon Europe. We promised never again. Now it's happening again. Anti-Semitism is on the rise in Germany and in Europe again. Have mercy upon Germany. Have mercy upon Europe. I repent for Germany. I repent for Europe. And ask for your grace to help us turn around. Make room for repentance in the church, first of all, and in our governments and nations. Lord, have mercy. Amen.
So there's your struggle session.
Would you have mercy on the United Kingdom? Father, forgive us for the way we've turned our back on Israel and not defended the Jewish people. And we've allowed anti-Semitism to run free on the streets of our nation. Father, forgive the church for being silent and therefore complicit in what is taking place. Would you turn the hearts of our leaders in both government and the church, along with the people of our nation, back to honoring you and your word, so that as a nation we would once again stand with, support, and be a friend to Israel and to the Jewish people.
Father God, as we're standing here today,
Korea.
we want to
China.
bring China to you. Lord, on the behalf of all the Chinese people around the world, Lord, we come to you and
So they actually have religion in China? That's a new one on me.
we ask for your forgiveness and your mercy over us. Lord, please forgive us for all the things that we did not support Israel.
The fucking Jews set up China. What is she talking about?
So they bring all these evangelicals into the struggle session and basically pray for forgiveness for not towing the line. The
Soviet communist American Jews helped set up China.
I mean, I don't know. To me, that's just like how sickening. What a sickening display.
Against Israel. Lord, please.
That's good. That's good, Robert. That's enough of that.
I'm kind of enjoying this.
Oh, you are?
Yes. I want to see how far they go.
You would turn the hearts of all the Chinese people, Lord. Speak to us and stir our souls. And I pray that you will teach us how to love you.
What do you think God is doing in this moment? Right? Let's just have a moment here where God is listening, right? And God is saying, what the fuck are you people talking about?
Well, God's just letting it flow, and it ain't going good for Israel.
Yeah, God is like,
He's letting it flow.
I'm busy right now. I'm getting a pedicure. Reach out a little bit later with something that really matters. This is ridiculous.
And how to love Israel and support Israel. Lord, I especially want to pray that you will rise up a young generation that will stand for you, that will stand firmly for your word, for your truth, and will stand firmly with Israel and support Israel. Lord, I also want to pray that you will open up the gates of Israel, open up the gates of China, open up the gates of all the Chinese people, and in unity, Lord, we will receive your kingdom coming, your glorious presence to come in.
She obviously does not live in China.
Well, I'll tell you what. To me, this kind of display really turns me off to religion. Sometimes I kind of flirt with religion,
right?
But when I see stuff like this, it just kind of really turns me off.
It's it's really the worst version of it in a lot of ways, right? It's just the worst version. It's just it's pandering and
invoking the gods and the Lord's name in some kind of ridiculous cause.
Yeah, and God's got one of those signs on his door, out for lunch back in 30 minutes or whatever while this is taking place. Like God really gives a shit about this? I don't think so. I mean, that's just my interpretation. And these people are I think they're deeply I mean, look, their hearts may be in the right place. They're moved by
I think the wallet's in the right place. I hope they collected the $7,000.
Well, I think there's money there too, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised by how many people
believe this.
I think of that English couple, right? And I can see them turning the money down. You know what I mean? I can see that because it would make them feel better. It would be like the deepest virtue signal possible. In fact, they'll say, we'll pay for our own way there and we'll pay for everything. We're doing this out of just the love of God and the love of Israel. It's like, oh yeah, cool. Sure. Thanks. Wow. That's really mighty Christian of you to do that. So maybe some of them got some bones, but I could see where some would just say no and do it of their own volition. God, this is kind of mind blowing. Where did you find you found that on X?
Yeah, X has got good stuff. Okay, the next one is Neo Caligula on social media exhibiting hypomania. So this kind of ties into this cortisol surges that he's got going all the time. Part of his anger. You just can't be 80 years old and a super angry person. You really can't. You're just can't. I don't care what your genetics is, your constitution. You got to really work on toning it down. I have to work at it. I mean, it's a big issue with me, getting angry.
Yeah.
But he's just totally out of control.
He's uploaded. He's going to be at Game 3 this weekend in New York for the Knicks game. That's going to be very, very interesting.
They'll boo him out of the stadium.
He's uploaded AI images of himself as a basketball player for the New York Knicks, his face on Mount Rushmore, and even suggesting he should perform at the America 250 event instead of artists. So Harry Sisson, Trump had another mental health episode today and posted over 50 times online. Trump attacks judge who said he couldn't put his name on the Kennedy Center, says he may perform and give a speech at the America 250 event instead of artists who canceled.
Okay, so here's the list down the page. There's the list tucked in there of his posts starting 11:15 a.m. Yeah.
This one right here. Oh, this one right here.
Right. Okay. Yeah, look at just sample a few of those things. He just goes on and on and on for like
Trump
9 hours.
Judge who said he couldn't put his name on Kennedy Center.
9 hours of this stuff. Don't you got anything better to do, Donald? Go take a nap. Go get some rest. Go get some rest.
Post edited a photo of Columbus Circle in D.C. with caption claim attacks Biden again. 12:11 p.m. Post AI photo of. So this is this is during the day. Post photo of him and George Washington riding horses in front of the White House with a space shuttle and race car in the background. Attacks Rosie O'Donnell.
So he's got like Tourette's syndrome. He's sitting there doing all this stuff. And 12:11. Oh yeah, Rosie O'Donnell. Let's attack her. That's how his brain is working.
So that there's a woman who does all of this for Trump. You know that, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he must just fire it out, and she just types it.
Yeah. So
this is Trump's brain. I'm convinced this is Trump's brain. Tax Biden over and over again over reflecting pool. Cage event, talking about a cage event. He's a combination of braggadocio and Tourette's syndrome, where he just all of a sudden spins off and attacks one of his foils that he likes to attack. And a lot of it's drawback type stuff, like when people get dementia, which my mother had to some degree, they start going back and remembering a lot of the old times. And so for Trump, the old times is attacking Rosie O'Donnell. That's relevant to him now.
Right. She got a facelift. So now he can attack her and say she's just as ugly. Right. So this is the woman. Her name is Natalie Harp. And she's one of 3 women who play integral roles in the Trump administration that you don't often see. So let's do a little bit of a background on her.
Good job.
A longtime devoted aide to President Trump, who credits him with saving her life. Reportedly, the primary White House staffer helping the president churn out posts on True Social. Natalie Harp, the 34-year-old executive assistant to the president, compiles screenshots of social media posts from allies or fans praising the president, bolstering family conspiracy theories, condemning Democrats, or insulting Trump's opponents for the president to review, the Wall Street Journal reported. So she does all this stuff, right? Once Trump approves the content via physically printed out drafts, so he has to actually see them, Harp goes onto the president's Truth Social account and posts them, often during off hours, such as late at night, over the weekend, or even on holidays. So she is the nighttime version of Trump, right? The president does post messages on Truth Social himself too, but at times the posts that push the envelope have landed the president in trouble. Most recently, Trump faced scrutiny for posting an AI-generated image of himself appearing as a Christ-like figure. He also received harsh backlash for posting a video that included a racist clip of former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as monkeys. the White House blamed an unnamed staffer for erroneously posting the video that featured a clip of the Obamas as monkeys, and Trump brushed off concern about the AI photo, claiming he thought it depicted him as a doctor. Those familiar with the situation told the Journal that Harp was the staffer who posted both at Trump's direction. The Independent has asked Harp for comment. When reached for comment, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung declined to comment on whether Harp was the unnamed staffer who posted the controversial content. We don't discuss internal deliberations of how the process works.
Well, the way I look at it, it's Trump owns it. He owns it. He's responsible for it.
I agree with you. But this woman is the one who is creating the tweets, right?
Yeah,
and what she does is she prints them out and she shares them with Trump, right?
And he selects them. Okay.
Right. And he greenlights it. So
okay.
This is the woman who is the author of a lot of those tweets with, of course, his approval.
Well, the level of professionalism is zero. This is zero. This is low optics, poor optics, zero effect. It's not professional at all. It's not becoming of a president of the United States. I don't care who's writing this stuff. It's ridiculous.
Well, I would tend to agree with you. Like, my idea of a president, if we're playing the political game, is very different than what Trump has concocted. If I had my choice to create the perfect president, it would be somebody who isn't always in the public spotlight, doesn't always have a ready quip, but is confident and has some kind of vision that the country can respond to. Like, when Kennedy was president, right? One of the things, whether you believe it or not, one of the things that Kennedy aspired towards was putting a man on the moon, right? It's like, we're going to do it. By the end of the decade, we're going to put a man on the moon. And then, then there was the space program. You had, first it was Mercury, then Gemini, and then you had the acceleration of the Apollo flights. And that was something that they continued. Again, whether you believe it or not, that's a whole other story. But Kennedy gave people something to aspire towards, like shoot for the stars, right? And even Nixon talked about this. Nixon would say any president who's worth his salt has to have a vision that people can rally around and like coalesce with. And at the beginning of Trump's second regime, he talked about this being the golden age, right? Like he understood the concept of having a vision. He understood that, it's going to be the 250th birthday of the country, and we're going to have, fairs everywhere across the country. Like he saw, like, this is the great American kind of reinvestment of the great America. He talked about this openly in his inauguration, but that's just it. It just stopped.
Yeah.
And then
now we've got this crotchety, demented old man.
He's crotchety, demented, and it is the worst level of corruption I have ever seen.
Oh my God! And 2.5 more years of this. I mean, it's not going to happen. There's zero.
He won't be around. I doubt he lasts the year. And I've looked at this astrologically, kind of made a big case for it over on Facebook, and I've done shows on it. I don't think he's long for the world. The question then becomes who or what happens next. Now, J.D. Vance has been rumored to not want to no longer want to be vice president, right? Like, it's kind of an open rumor circulating around Washington. He was very close with Tulsi Gabbard. She's no longer there. He doesn't really have any allies in the White House. Peter Thiel's moved to Argentina. So that was his backer, his main sponsor, his guy. And his wife has told him that being aligned with Trump is toxic for him and can ruin his future political.
What's he do? Resign and then Trump
vice
president and then Trump resigns? Is that what happens?
So we're in a weird spot, right? This is a really weird time because this 250th anniversary thing is kind of a big deal in some ways. In other ways, it's not. Like, you have to have the family intact to be able to have this, celebration. That includes JD Vance, right? But after that celebration, again, with astrology, I've looked at JD Vance's chart, and if he stays on much past July 15th, his world gets, I think, a lot more difficult. And I don't want to get into the specifics and get into the weeds, but I have reasons why. So now you've got somebody who doesn't really want to be there, and by the way, astrologically should not be there. And then you have Trump, who I feel like is on his last legs.
Yeah,
like it's clear that this guy is physically is just
right. And so JD Vance has got to know that. So if he doesn't really want the job or just thinks it's a trap for him, he's got to resign fast.
So
turn in the resignation for whatever reason.
The guy
work it out with Trump to give Trump a chance, the opportunity to pick the vice president, unless they want Mike Johnson to be the president.
So if JD Vance, so let's play this out. Let's say Trump is still around, 250th anniversary, and Vance, makes a good showing of it, right? It's like having the family together for the holidays. JD Vance could step down after that. Trump would have to appoint a new vice president, and the poly market odds for that are clearly leaning towards Marco Rubio, right? So Marco Rubio steps in and becomes the vice president.
So he's just anointed. And then Trump resigns or steps down.
So then you get somebody who's really older and, doesn't really pose much of a threat for Rubio to become vice president. So, I don't know who that would be. I mean, typically, like this guy, John Cornyn, right, who just lost his Senate seat to Ken Paxton. John Cornyn would be the perfect vice presidential candidate because he's Texan, he's older, like there's no future investment in John Cornyn. So he would be a guy that or maybe Doug Burnham, right, could come in and play second fiddle. But Doug Burnham's current position has much more power associated with it. Now, I'll ask you the question because I think you're a good litmus. If you're Miriam Adelson and you're Benjamin Netanyahu and you're Paul Singer, who would you rather have? Would you rather have a young Marco Rubio who will do everything you say, or would you rather have an old and fading Donald Trump?
Yeah, put Marco Rubio in, paint lipstick on this pig.
Right, exactly. So there's got to come a point where I think the decision for Trump will be made, and one way or another, right? It'll be made for him, and it's those people who will determine what that decision is. I think that's where this is headed, and I have certain feelings about Marco Rubio. I'd like your.
I can, that when Rubio went before that committee they were really hard on him. It's almost kind of like they knew what you're talking about. The line of questioning, there was no respect shown for him at all. The Democrats were basically saying, "You're never going to have any respect here, President Rubio."
What do you think of Rubio as like a persona? What do you think of him in general?
He's clever and sort of conniving sort of way.
Yep.
He's kind of another dark triad. Maybe, I don't know. He's kind of narcissistic, psychopathic, and Machiavellian, same mold.
I think Rubio has traits of being an absolute tyrant. That's my feel about the guy. He's
very dishonest. I mean, he's very high on the dishonesty scale. He lies all the time.
Doesn't he strike you as being cold as well? Like there's a coldness about Rubio.
He's a little bit of a prima donna.
Like a ruthless efficiency in some ways with this guy.
He's not a nice person. He's not very warm. I mean, I don't.
He's a cold motherfucker.
Yeah.
And JD Vance may have his faults and foibles, and he may be Peter Thiel's guy, but he doesn't strike me as being cold.
Oh no! In fact, JD Vance, in a lot of ways, is likable.
I think he's very likable.
Yeah, but he doesn't fit. He's not a fit. He was kind of a mistake. I don't know quite why they picked him.
Well, I think they picked him because Trump was under a lot of pressure from some very key donors, including Elon Musk, to pick JD. He didn't like JD Vance. JD Vance he was an anti-Trumper at one point, right? And then he came around, and it was like, listen, I think it was Don Jr. and I think it was Tucker Carlson who were on board the JD Vance train. And this is before Trump and Tucker Carlson broke up. So there was a lot of, in fact, I believe Tucker's son actually works inside of JD Vance's office at the White House. So there is a big connection between JD Vance and Tucker Carlson. So I think there was a lot of internal pressure to have Vance as the VP candidate. And who were the other choices? To be honest with you, they weren't all that good. So I don't.
Yeah, Vance probably was a little better campaigner than whoever they else. I mean, he's not a bad campaigner.
No, and the times that he's actually done something or said something, like when he went to Europe and he was in Germany, and he actually addressed the EU. Like I thought he did an amazing job, and he was calling them out on, their lack of free speech, and I mean, he was really articulate, and he really, kind of, shook them up by the shirt collar. So anytime he's had any opportunity to step into the limelight, like he just whooped Tim Walz in that debate. Like he had Tim Walz doing like dog tricks. Right. So I think he's very capable. And I have this theory that Trump is actually kind of jealous of JD Vance. Like,
well, I think Trump's jealous of about everybody.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. He has to be top dog no matter what. Right. So
well, there's a very interesting. God, I wish I could find. There it is. Okay, go down to around the webs. I want to show you Marco Rubio arriving in Delhi because it kind of ties in.
Okay.
This is the reception that Marco Rubio is going to get as president around the world in Congress. He's not very popular, so he may be controlled by the Jewish money bags, but he's going to be kind of in the same dilemma that Trump is in now.
To some extent, I haven't. Let's see what we have here.
Now, this may be more reflective of the attitude towards the country, the lack of respect towards the United States, more so than Rubio. But I don't know. I think Rubio plays a role.
He plays multiple roles, apparently.
Okay, now he comes down the steps. He's in New Delhi. And take a look at who's greeting him. This is from his own staff, probably from the embassy. Nobody. That's his staff. That's the embassy staff. There's nobody there to even greet him. Now go to the next clip. below this, it shows him leaving. Read the caption.
Something gloriously Indian about the U.S. Secretary of State receiving his official farewell courtesy of the nearest police station sub-inspector. So these are not people high up on the food chain.
Yeah, they're just local police officers.
Like Modi is not there to say goodbye to him.
No. Total insult. I mean, much worse than what China did to Trump.
Well, they're very enthusiastic about it.
Well, the sub-inspector of the police stations, the least they can do is give him a good handshake.
Yeah. Rubio looks happy.
Well, he's an actor. Rubio just goes along with the act.
And he doesn't use the handrail.
Yeah, because he wants to appear young and virile.
Well, he at least he's
but he
young.
points, he's okay. He knows how to behave. He knows at least how to behave. Unlike Trump, his behavior is not crazy.
Rubio will never do anything to embarrass himself or the office or the country. I can tell you that right now.
Complete opposite of Trump.
Complete. He's totally in control almost all the time, right? But beneath that is a very, very cold persona that I think is capable.
I'm going to address a statement that somebody's challenging me on, that my attitude that Trump is jealous of everybody. You got to understand, Trump is a pompous ass. Okay, he's very insecure deep down inside. He's had a lot of failures in life, numerous bankruptcies and failures. He's been propped up over and over and again. He knows he's a puppet. So I think he's a very insecure person.
I think that was one of the issues with Thomas Massey. I think he was jealous of Thomas Massey. And it was personal. It wasn't just the fact that Massey challenged him politically. Like, they could not be more diametrically opposed. I mean, Trump doesn't even know how to drive a car. And I know this.
Probably too old.
Well, so I know this sounds like a funny story, but the woman who cuts my hair, her brother-in-law was really high at DNI. And he just recently left to go work for private security. So she had access to the White House. And she's showing me all these pictures of her on her cell phone. Right. She was at the Easter egg hunt with Melania. So she knows what she's talking about. And she showed me a picture of this red Tesla that Trump had given, that Elon had given Trump. And I said to her, I said, I don't think Trump even knows how to fucking drive. And she said to me, deadpan, no, he doesn't. He doesn't know how to drive. So he's never driven anything other than a golf cart. Right. Like, has Trump ever gone camping? Has he ever put a fishing line in the water?
He's been chauffeured around his whole life.
I mean, he has no connection with the natural world whatsoever. None.
Golf. That's it.
Golf is his simulated relationship with the natural world. And then you have Thomas Massey, who built a company that had value, right? Has patents. I think it's based on haptics and helping people with hearing disabilities and connecting it somehow to surgical processes, like, pretty complex stuff. And he built a company on that, and he made a lot of money, and he sold the company, and he actually built something, right? He built something, and he went to, his little patch of heaven there in Kentucky, poorest county in Kentucky, which is where he's from. And he built a house from scratch.
Yeah, it's cool house. I saw it. Yeah.
Total from scratch. Not a single nail in the damn house. right? And it's from wood and rock from his property.
Well, I'm sure you've probably covered his election. I'm sure you have.
And that is the antithesis of Trump, right? Trump pays people to build things. Massey actually built the damn thing.
Right.
Right. So
different quality of people altogether.
Yeah, I could just see where, he would be somebody that Trump would have a really hard time with just in general because of the type of person that he is. Like he could take that shit personally. I didn't cover the election too much only because I knew Massey was going to lose. That was a given. Did you think he was going to win or had a chance?
Well, no, because they stole it from him. They basically stuffed the ballots with a bunch of boomer dead people.
So is that on the record? Were some of these people deceased?
I don't know that's really on the record because Massey said, I don't want any investigation of this election. He said that, we're not going to look into it. It's over. So it was never challenged. And of course, his opponent won by a sufficient margin that it wasn't like a nail biter. Right. They made sure of that, but they just dug up some old people, boomers, and got them to vote against Massey. Now, they thought that they might get a big youth turnout, but the problem with the youth vote is they don't register to vote. And Kentucky is a closed state. You got to actually register as a party member.
Right.
Well, a young person that might support Massey might not even bother to do that, or they might be registered as a Democrat. So he didn't get that vote. They couldn't muster it. It's just the rules of the primary.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of a problem all over the country for electing anti-Zionist candidates. It's the money and the way these elections are configured, especially in the primaries.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with, here in Texas, Ken Paxton, who has been the attorney general. I mean, he was attorney general before I got here, and I got here in 2012. So he's been attorney general for probably close to 20 years in Texas. And he decided that he was going to take on John Cornyn for that Senate seat. And he beat Cornyn, and he beat him.
Why did he beat him? What were the issues?
This is really funny. If you could look up the definition of a rhino, it would be John Cornyn.
Okay.
John Cornyn is a total rhino. But what they've done is they've twisted the nomenclature. And now rhinos are not John Cornyn. They're not Lindsey Graham. The rhinos are now like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert and Chip Roy. Those are the rhinos. They've
non-kosher. Yeah, non-kosher.
They've done this Orwellian kind of mind trick.
Well, the litmus test is: are you kosher or non-kosher? That's the litmus test.
Well, Cornyn was. What would I say about Cornyn? I would say he was with Trump most of the time, right? He wasn't a problem like some of the other, supposed rhinos. But Trump favored Ken Paxton because Ken Paxton was out in front in the 2020 election and trying to get results overturned. Like one of the things that Ken Paxton did is that he filed a complaint or some kind of legal document with the state of Pennsylvania for the vote count. Like he got involved, right?
Well, that's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing that Trump can influence the outcomes of these primaries. Like,
so what
does he really have that kind of draw to do that?
Well, apparently he does, right? So what happened with Cornyn in Pennsylvania is Pennsylvania said, you don't have any standing here. Or I'm sorry, Paxton, you don't have any standing here. So they just threw Ken Paxton and his complaint right out. But he has shown extreme loyalty to Trump. And Trump kind of in the last 2 weeks of the race came out and backed Ken Paxton and became, a Paxton guy.
He's able to pull enough votes in for him. Gosh, that's
disturbing. So what's really interesting
between that and cheating on the ballots.
So what's really interesting about Paxton is that, ever since I got here, he's been dealing with this like corruption scandal, and it's never really gone away. It's always been in the background, but it's never been resolved. But just prior to this election, like if you can do things that would fuck up your election, this guy, in baseball, like you hit for the cycle, right? This guy hit for the fucking cycle. First thing he did is he cheated on his wife. Okay. Right. So you're going to become elected senator. Yeah. Why don't you cheat on your wife? Okay. Then you move out on your wife, and then you move into a $2 million mansion in like Frisco, Texas, or some fucking place like that. Oh, isn't that interesting? Where do you get the money for a $2 million mansion? Okay, we'll just put that away for now. Then there's this guy who is been charged with continually raping this young boy, this 13-year-old boy, like on a consistent basis. And he gets convicted. What does Ken Paxton do? Ken Paxton basically says, okay, well, I'm not completely overturning the conviction, but this guy isn't doing time, number one. And number two, I'm giving him a pardon. So he basically pardoned a pedophile in the run-up to his election. So he cheats on his wife. He cheats on his wife. He moves in with his girlfriend. He buys this $2 million mansion with mystery money. And then he pardons a pedophile, and he still fucking wins. Like, if you could find anything else in there, like maybe he could be caught with a crack pipe.
And against an incumbent senator.
Right. So he wins. And
against an incumbent. That's even more amazing.
He won by a significant amount of the vote, right? And it's because
crazy.
And a lot of it has to do with, Texans in general. They tend to be very, very loyal. And a lot of them are very loyal to Donald Trump. Let's put it that way. So real quick, his next opponent is this guy, James Tallarico. And Tallarico is an interesting character, to say the least. And I think Paxton's going to have a bit of a fight on his hands with Tallarico.
Yeah, because there's a Democratic surge all over the country, and probably in Texas.
Well, and here's the thing. Paxton has been really, really hard on the Mexican Latino community when it comes to immigration. Like, he has been kind of in lockstep with Trump around that. And there are a lot of Latinos and Mexicans that live in Texas. And when Tallarico beat Jasmine Crockett, the loudmouth from Dallas, to get her seat, he had they were running off against one another to be the Democratic candidate for the senatorialship. And he beat her brakes off. And it was the Latino community that carried James Tallarico across the finish line. So he has a huge Latino vote that's waiting for him here in Texas. But what's really funny is, and people don't understand that at a certain level, politics is just a fucking sham, right? James Tallarico took $60,000 from Miriam Adelson. Right. This is the same Miriam Adelson who has pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into Donald Trump's coffers. Right. And it's like, that's how politics works.
Well, the only requirement there is being kosher. So if you're kosher, you get the money.
You get the money. You'll do what you're told. Right. And they're obviously, when you bring this up to Trump people, they don't really know what to say. It's like James Tallarico took $60,000 of Miriam Adelson's money. So does that make him MAGA adjacent? right? Like
This makes him another kosher candidate. Everybody's got to start figuring that out and get away from the
you'll bring that up to Trump supporters, and you'll get crickets. They don't know how to respond to that. That the same sponsor that invests in Trump invests in James Tallarico. They don't know how to respond to that. So it's like,
what's so tough to understand?
I mean, just me personally, I'm completely over the political thing. I mean, I talk about it like I talk about the NBA or the NFL at this point. It just doesn't.
We got a new guy in Hungary here in Europe. That's Peter Magyar, that wants to recreate the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Is he legit, or is he just using that as like a
marketing? I think there's some sentiment for it. It's kind of the idea is to join Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Austria, and Czech Republic in one nation, one federated nation, to create a powerhouse, Eastern European powerhouse.
I like it. As long as people get to keep their traditions and their local identity.
Well, I explain to people here that, when you're a small country with only 10 million people, you're just like a sitting duck.
Right.
All throughout history.
And then you've got this predatory animal creeping up from the Mediterranean, based, buying Cyprus and now trying to buy into Albania. You better. That's a malignant force that
unless Peter Magyar is involved in that operation too.
I'm sure if you go deep enough, you'll find connections.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about it. Well, Russ, we managed to do it. I found you. You're
okay. Now you know where to find me in the future.
Yeah, we're friends again now. Over on Twitter, X. And if you like the content that we covered today, you can go over to winterwatch.net and subscribe to Russ and his feed and get updated. You get the stuff sent right to your inbox, but check your spam, especially according to me, I'm getting spammed out. That sucks. Russ, so we'll see you in a month. How's that?
All right, everybody. Good night.
All right. The great Russ Winter. And it's always a pleasure to have him on. And glad I was able to find him and locate him. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. Don't forget that I do have a special going on right now for readings, right? And you get $50 off. And I just want to show you that if you go to the website and you decide that you're going to get a reading, I'm just going to show you what you do. This is for like an astrocartography reading, which I'm very good at, by the way. You're going to run into the ad coupon, and that's where you put the code. So if you're going to get this reading, right, you would put in 50OFF, and it would take $50 off of that. So I just wanted to give you a visual. Some people didn't really understand. And then there's other ways that you can pay. You can put your credit card in, if you want to do it that way. And these are all the different readings that are available to you. The book is going to be out on 6/22. Really excited that Mario from Symbolic Studies is going to be doing the cover. In fact, I've got a meeting with him in 13 minutes to talk about the cover. Our good friend David Palmer is doing the introduction to the book. So that should be hitting Amazon on the 22nd of this month. 323 pages, 25 chapters, and it's all about astrology and everything you need to know and learn about astrology. And it'll be a hardcover book. Very nice addition to your collection. I'll try to have some copies available that if you're interested in getting a signed copy, we'll figure that out, and we'll have some sort of a function for that. And then hopefully what we'll do is we'll figure out a way to integrate the course and the book together so that you can do a singular purchase at one shot and get them both delivered to you at the same time. And when I do that, I'll have probably a special on the course, which to me is still really affordable. Like, it's a great course. So we'll figure out a way where you can bundle that up and, get you off and running in the world of astrology. All right. So I'll be back on Sunday night with Sunday Night Astro Live. And then next Friday, Mario will be here with me. And we'll be talking about all things Gemini, one of my favorite topics. And of course, Mario is just an absolute mage when it comes to symbolism. And I always have a great time talking, chatting, and sharing with him as well. So in the meantime, take good care of yourselves. And, don't let the outer world get you down too much. Right? Like, there's plenty to be stressed out about. I mean, plenty. Pick a topic and you can go into some kind of trauma mode. Right? And I'm not one of these people that says you should stick your head in the sand. Like, you should kind of know what's going on, but it shouldn't dominate your life. So give up on the doom scrolling for a while, go outside, do some things that you enjoy, cultivate your pastimes, your hobbies, stay in touch with other people, get some UV light, and, enjoy this 3D physical existence to the best of your ability. Although if you are in nature, make sure that you check for ticks when you leave it. I'll leave you with that bright and cheery thought. All right, Robert Phoenix signing off. Love to all of you. God bless, and we'll see you on Sunday night. Bye for now.